This is the final part of my 5,000-mile overlanding trip from Florida to Utah and Colorado. In the previous episode, I completed the White Rim Trail, and after leaving Moab, I met up with a friend of mine in Durango, and from there we made our way to Telluride. The plan was to explore Imogene Pass, which runs from Telluride to Ouray. The landscape and scenery was so much different than what I just experienced in Moab. Here it is. We passed through the social tunnel, which is where miners would meet single women from Telluride in the late 1800s, as they were not allowed near the mine. After airing down, we continued up and pretty soon ran into various ruins of mines dating back to the early 1900s. There are a number of old mines to look like the Smuggler Union mine that dates back to 1875. Check the cool Land Rover. Oh, and I did spot a Camel Trophy Land Rover as well. We were up there in the middle of June, just after the snow melted, so there were many little streams and waterfalls along the way. The Tomboy townsite dates back to 1890. This is one of the highest ghost towns in America and had nearly 1,000 residents. In its heyday, Tomboy hosted a store, a stable, a school, and YMCA, in addition to the residences for local miners. A little further up, we unfortunately discovered that the roads were still snowed in and were not passable, so we had to turn around and head back down to Telluride. The views of Telluride and Black Bear Pass were amazing coming down the mountain. We decided to find a place to camp near Telluride for the night and planned to head out to Ouray the following morning. We found a great campsite with some awesome views on the last dollar road just outside of Telluride. I must say that Ouray was probably my favorite town on this trip. After a nice lunch and beer at the Ouray brewery, we jumped on the Corkscrew and then Hurricane Pass, making our way towards Lake City. There were still thick layers of snow everywhere, which was great to see for someone coming from Florida. We made a quick stop at the top of Hurricane Pass for some photos, which was at almost 13,000 feet. The next section of the trip took us over the California Pass and part of the Alpine Loop. There was a great view of an alpine lake at the top of California Pass. Our next stop was the historic ghost town of Animas Forks, which was established in 1875. In 2011, the town site was listed on the National Register of Historic Places, which opened up opportunities for additional funding to assist with the preservation and restoration efforts. Today there are a couple of restored buildings to explore, including the old school building, some houses, and the old jail. You can spend a lot of time walking through these buildings and just imagining how it must have been back in the late 1800s, surviving up here in the cold, trying to make a living mining gold and silver. From there we made our way up to Cinnamon Pass and then decided to start looking for a campsite for the evening. This was going to be my last official camp before heading back to Florida. We were lucky enough to find a great camp next to a little stream, and it was an awesome way to end an amazing journey. The next morning we headed out to Lake City and made a quick stop at the general store for some supplies and a nice lunch at the Packer Saloon. This is where we split up, as I had to start heading back home. I did take a detour to see the town of Creed on the way back. It was a long way back to Florida, but I was grateful I had the opportunity to see so many amazing places. I can't wait to go back next time with my family, and I will definitely be spending more time at each of these places. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the content.
Never.